Alright guys, so in today's video I will be comparing the Pixel 4a to the iPhone SE 20 that Apple has released this year. And these are the company's budget phone for the year, and I think what they both have to bring to the table is really good for the consumer. So let's get into the comparison video. So first up, I think what we all interact with the most is the display, and the displays are very different. So on the Pixel 4a we have a more modern design with the display having no notch with the hole punch design. And then on the iPhone side, we have the notch, a huge notch, and a chin as well. So that's one of the biggest compromises that you're gonna have to deal with if you do decide to go with the iPhone SE of this year compared to the Pixel 4a. But beyond that, the iPhone is using an LCD panel and it's a little bit higher than 720p. And the size overall is 4.7 inches. Whereas on the Pixel 4a, we have a 1080p screen that comes at 5.51 inches. So one of the most advantageous things about the Pixel 4a is that it does come with built-in HDR. So if you're a person who watches HDR content on YouTube, Netflix, or any other streaming service, you are able to get HDR playback from this display. So that is really good that Google is offering that and a price point at $349. Now, overall build quality between the two, I will say that the Pixel 4a, it does feel lightweight and the plastic does make it feel cheaper. But on the iPhone side, it is glass aluminum. It does feel premium to hold in the hand. But I would say I don't think you should base your decision off how it feels in your hand, because regardless, you're gonna get accustomed to it after about a week. Now, in terms of durability, you might have your heart drop if you do drop this phone, whereas on the Pixel 4a, I'm not as scared if this thing does drop on the ground. So just keep that in mind. Next up, I want to talk about the specs. So this iPhone SE comes with 3 gigabytes of RAM, and it comes with the big brother A13 Bionic chip in the iPhone 11. And this phone is really snappy. I'm telling you, it feels like this phone will last a lifetime. Well, probably in 10 years we might see it age, but I don't feel like I will see this phone age anytime soon in terms of the performance and speed. And then on the Pixel 4a, we have the 735G with 6 gigabytes of RAM. Now, even though this does have more RAM, the processor, I will say, is much slower, and at times it does get laggy even when I want to open up the camera sometimes, and even when I want to process some photos. It does take some time for the Pixel 4a to actually do its processing. So that's probably another major hit that you're going to take if you do decide to get the Pixel 4a. Now, looking at the Geekbench scores, we can see that there is a pretty significant difference between the two. The iPhone SE is almost double in both categories, and I decided to throw in my iPhone 10 as well. And you can even see that even though the Pixel 4a was released this year, the processor inside is lacking. Now, I was going to leave this for the full review of my Pixel 4a, but I will say day-to-day use, I don't really notice it that much in terms of performance. Like, if you're just using this as a device to access the internet, social media sites, things like that, even like watching videos, you're not gonna notice that performance hit. Although I will say later on in the years, and if you are playing games on here compared to the iPhone SE, you will start to notice it lag. So that's probably one of the biggest hits that you're gonna take in terms of performance, is the processing power. So in terms of unlocking methods, they both have fingerprint sensors, although the Pixel 4a has the fingerprint sensor on the back, and then the iPhone SE has the fingerprint sensor on the front. Now, I will say they're both really consistent and good, although depending on which one is a better position, I would say that they're pretty much equal. Like I said, I haven't used the Pixel 4a. When I switched back over to the iPhone SE, I want to tap on the back. At the end of the day, I think it's just muscle memory and what you use on a day-to-day basis. Your brain's gonna recognize those patterns. So I would say in terms of the placement, they're pretty much equal, and I'm satisfied with both. Now, they're both using a single camera setup with a 12 megapixel, but this is where the iPhone starts to flex its power a little bit in terms of the spec sheet. So it can record up to 4K 60 as well as 1080p 200 frames per second, whereas on the Pixel 4a, it can only go up to 4K 30 FPS and 1080p 120 FPS. Now, I do have some video comparisons to show you guys, so I'll let the video speak for itself. Okay, so now I'm using the front-facing camera on both the Pixel 4a and the iPhone SE. You guys can let me know how the microphones sound. Um, the reason why my mask is like this is because if you have glasses, you know the struggles. Your lenses fog up a lot. But in terms of the quality, I would say that they're both passable. Now the front-facing camera looks like the iPhone SE has more of a natural tone to the colors, and the Pixel seems to be oversaturating the colors just a little bit. Now it looks normal. So God, so much fogging. This is so annoying. I don't know if you guys can hear me with my mask on, but this is just the front-facing video comparison between the iPhone SE and the Pixel 4a once again. Look at this fog. Can't even see. In terms of the portrait mode, I feel like I like the iPhone SE just a little bit more. Although they are both passable in my opinion. So for both of these phones, I did allow the autofocus to do their job because I believe the average consumer is probably just going to whip out their camera and just snap a photo. But I do think for the price point of these phones that if you are trying to pick a phone up and you want a really good dedicated camera on the side whenever you need it, that these phones will be able to do the job for you perfectly fine. So unfortunately, the iPhone SE is not going to be able to take photos in darker situations, whereas on the Pixel 4a, the night mode is something that might be a deal breaker for some. And night mode is something that you see typically in flagship phones. So do keep that in mind if you are looking to purchase the Pixel 4a or the iPhone SE. So I want to talk about some of the extra features that you get in one or the other. So there is Wi-Fi 6 and wireless charging on the iPhone SE, as well as it comes in more colors. It comes in black, white, and red, which is what I have right now, the red. And then on the Pixel 4a, there is a headphone jack. So if a headphone jack is something that you absolutely need, Pixel 4a is going to be what you want to get. Now, I want to go out and say that you're probably going to get a longer life cycle with the iPhone SE because the original SE came out in 2016 and that phone is still getting updates. And this has the same processor as the iPhone 11. So as long as the iPhone 11 gets updates, in my opinion, this phone is also going to get updates. And I believe that phone is going to last at least 5 years. Google has said that the Pixel 4a will get at least 3 years of software support. So I think in terms of what you're getting for $350 and then $400, that the support that you're getting for these phones is going to be very good. And 3 years down the line, you might want to upgrade into probably getting another budget or mid-range phone. Now, you guys are probably asking yourself the question, or you're probably not asking yourself this question, which one would I get? I would say that since I'm a person that values longevity, that I would go over to the iPhone. I don't feel like this debate is whether you should get Android or iOS. I don't think it's that simple. Despite the more modern look of the Pixel 4a, I think just having better internals overall is what's going to win me over to the iPhone SE. So, like I said, I don't think you can go wrong with either choices. I think both of these companies are providing excellent value, and I can easily recommend these to friends and family who don't want to drop $500, $600, maybe, God forbid they buy a $1,000 phone. It's just, in terms of what you need to get out of a phone, I think both of these phones check the boxes for most people. So can't go wrong with either, but do keep in mind this one is $50 cheaper. So with all that being said, guys, I hope you guys did enjoy this video, my comparison video between the iPhone SE and the Pixel 4a. Let me know down in the comments below which one you would get. Please subscribe if you want to see more tech content. And as always, guys, much love.